smart, rehabilitated, and real entertaining. This is the Carl Jackson Podcast.
All right, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show podcast on this Friday. We are your daily dose of objective truth in a world of lies. I'm going to be commenting on the Biden speech, and I'm going to reveal to you who Biden really is. For years now, even people on the right, even people on my team, if you will, have been saying that Joe Biden is some moderate and he was Lunchbox Joe. And when did Joe Biden make this jump to the left? When did he go from being moderate Joe to progressive, socialist, elitist, straight up evil Joe? Guys, this has been Joe Biden all along. Joe Biden's speech, all it did last night is reveal who Joe Biden really is. Now, let's make no mistake about it. This was also a clarion call to the useful idiots of BLM and Antifa that Joe Biden wants to wage war. He wants to use them to wage war against those of us that want free and fair elections in this midterm season. He wants to scare us. He wants to bring them out. He wants to cause violence. That is his goal. This is a despicable person. This is a despicable human being. And I hope after watching last night's speech, which looked straight up satanic, Gabe, you've seen the pictures of this thing. Didn't it look like that could be Satan's lair? All you have to do is add horns to that thing. I mean, that background looked like it could be Satan's lair. And look at Jill Biden. Jill Biden having to walk the president of the United States of America out on the stage, probably so he doesn't get lost and try to find an ice cream parlor somewhere. This is absolutely insane. I hate that people had to watch this, but we do. I think what Joe Biden did actually last night is hand the midterm elections to the Republicans. I really think he did. I mean, his numbers, every time this guy comes out and speaks, his approval ratings, his approval numbers get worse and worse. I suspect they will drop after this speech as well. It was extremely divisive. This isn't a guy that wants unity, that it's seeking unity. He never has been. Listen, whether you supported Donald Trump and his policies, whether you support Joe Biden and his policies, Americans are Americans. This is not going to bode well. So what I wanted to do in this podcast is I wanted to share with you who Biden really is. You know, every day I listen to different conservatives, radio, podcasters, so on, etc. One of the things I noticed Dan Bongino puts out on his True Social feed every day, it is he'll name the date and Biden is the worst president in American history. And every day it's the same tweet. It's just that particular date. But you know what? He's not only the worst president, he's the worst person to ever occupy the White House, in my opinion. This guy is a despicable human being. Guys, before I get on, I'm going to play some video clips for you. But before I go forward, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to the podcast. Everywhere podcasts are found, Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube. Check out the YouTube channel, The Carl Jackson Show. Rumble, The Carl Jackson Show, for some alternative media sources, if you will. Rumble.com. Please check us out there. Also, everywhere that I am on social media, The Carl Jackson Show. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, True Social, Getter. Just go to The Carl Jackson Show. Search me out there, and that's where I will be. And also, I just want to remind you to support our sponsor, My Pillow, Mike Lindell, and his fabulous company that he's built from the ground up. And not only providing American products, American-made products, but American jobs, American manufacturing. And this is a guy that is fighting, a patriot that is fighting for our freedoms, fighting for election integrity. Help him out and help me out. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com. Help yourself out. Get a comfortable night's rest. Go to mypillow.com. You can buy the Perkel sheets. Currently, there's a queen set available that normally sells for $89.98, but for my listeners, only $39.98. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener square. That's mypillow.com. Click on the radio listener square. Use the promo code Carl, C-A-R-L, or call 1-800-858-0263. 1-800-858-0263. Use that promo code Carl and you'll get all of the discounts that are applicable to you for using that promo code Carl. And by the way, that promo code can be used across the board for anything on mypillow.com. Use the promo code Carl, C-A-R-L. All right, Biden is a horrible person. Biden, his speech revealed it last night. I'm going to go over Biden's racism. I'm going to go over other things that you may or may not know about Biden. I'm going to put a nail in the coffin to this argument that some liberals have made over the years, Democrats have made, and even some conservatives and or Republicans have made over the years, that Biden was some moderate and now he's all of a sudden moved to the left. No, Biden has always been a man of the left, and those that claim otherwise have always been in denial. In other words, they're progressive deniers. I don't know, whatever the left would use. I'm your official election denier, the Salem Podcast Network, election truther, maybe, of the Salem Podcast Network. Oh, by the way, let's go ahead and let's play this audio for you. And then I just want to outline the despicable person that Biden is. I really think this is important because, again, this speech last night, this is indicative, or it's illustrative of who Joe Biden really is. Joe Biden is a despicable person. Joe Biden has always been a despicable person. Joe Biden will likely die a despicable person unless he begs forgiveness from Jesus Christ. I don't see it happening anytime soon since he's still evil as hell, and there's never any mentions of Jesus Christ, and there seems to be no repentance, and all this guy seems to thrive on is being nasty, mean, and divisive. I can't wait for Americans to hopefully unite again, or begin the uniting process again in 2022 and 2024. We should be running on the Republicans in the midterm elections, united, not divided, and united on certain issues, on the rule of law, on pro-life issues, on free speech, on taxation, less taxes, more money. You work hard, you get to keep more of your money, sealing the border, a strong military, not a woke military, energy independence, and no longer subsidizing EVs and none of that renewable crap nonsense. We should be uniting, finding issues to unite on, uniting against healthcare. These are things that I think if Republicans can make coherent arguments, the other Americans can come along and agree upon. These are the things that are going to make America better. Uniting against inflation and excess spending from the federal government. Having said all of that, let's go ahead and play this audio clip, or this video clip, por favor, Gabe. Make sure you go to youtube.com to check it out, or rumble.com. Check it out, The Carl Jackson Show, and you can watch the video live. Hit it, Gabe.
Make America great again. Biden called them extremists, and he said that they are a threat to democracy.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election.
I suppose he means, for just a sec, I think he forgot Hillary Clinton denying that she lost. I think he forgot Al Gore denying that he lost. This guy is a complete bumbling idiot, and he's a liar. But this is what the left does. They lie. But this is particularly what Joe Biden does. I'm going to show you, I'm going to illustrate to you, this guy has always been a despicable human being. This guy, in my opinion, I believe he's a sexual predator. There's no doubt that he's a racist. I'm going to help you recall several times in which Joe Biden has used racist statements, explicitly racist statements. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what he did to Supreme Court nominee Robert Bork. And we're also going to give you his American Conservative Union score that proves this guy has never been a moderate. I don't even know where Republicans got that from. It makes no sense. Let's go ahead with the video.
Speak in state after state to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies.
Now, he did.
Okay, so that's Joe Biden. It gets worse. Perhaps we'll add another video here shortly, but it gets worse. I mean, the guy was just going after MAGA Republicans. Listen, man, MAGA actually stands for something. It stands for principles. It stands for policies. All of the things that I've mentioned. I mean, including deregulation, the rule of law, and judges, originalist judges. It's a pro-life movement. It's a free speech movement. Anti-big tech censorship and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it is a closed border movement, right? Legal immigration. It is a strong military movement. It is an energy independence movement. It is an educational school choice movement. So when you say MAGA, there are things that MAGA represents. All of these things that make America great and better and exceptional, including manufacturing and not shipping all of our jobs to China, as Trump would say. So let me read this really quick, a part of this article. And I'm not going to read you the entire article simply because I'm cheap and I did not pay for a subscription to Wall Street Journal. Perhaps I should. I mentioned, there's a lot of great articles that pop up on Wall Street Journal, and I read the first paragraph and I'm like, oh, this is fascinating. I should read the rest. Ooh, I got to pay. I'm a cheapskate in that way. So I try to research other free places, but maybe I will subscribe. Props to the Wall Street Journal. Anyway, this is an article, or the beginning of an article anyway, written by the widow of Robert Bork. Regarding your editorial, Breaking Judicial Norms, a History, quote unquote, September 21, the week of hearings in 1987 showed me Joe Biden's partisanship and pragmatism. Most people don't remember the hearings on Robert Bork for nomination to the Supreme Court, but I do. I was there during the 4 months of vicious political campaigning against this judicial nominee, my husband. And in the Senate hearing room, as then Senator Biden presided over a rigged hearing full of an unprecedented level of lying and distortion of a man known for his integrity and his judicial wisdom. Democrats flagrantly lied, she says, about Bob's record of opinions. On day 4 of the hearings, Senator Biden was accused of plagiarism. Day 4 of the hearings, he was accused of plagiarism. What was he doing? And he had to drop out of the presidential race. Oh, you don't say. In the course of 1 week, Senator Biden orchestrated a vicious lying assault and was caught passing off someone else's words as his own. 33 years later, he is still, listen to this, he is still a man without a compass, guided now by prevailing progressive winds. After Bob left the court in 1988 to devote himself to writing and teaching, Democrats would often come up to him to apologize for the way the Democratic politicians treated him and would leave with tears in their eyes. We will all have tears in our eyes if Joe Biden is elected president. Man, is she a prophet. Man, is she a prophet. Not only is this guy the worst president in United States history, in my humble opinion, he is the worst person to occupy the White House. And that's saying something. That is saying something. This guy is a mean person. He is in my opinion, an evil person. He's a racist. I think he is a sexual predator, in my humble opinion. You saw him hooping and hollering over the little 9-year-old cutie the other day. I mean, the guy is disgusting. The guy is despicable. Don't forget what he did to Justice Clarence Thomas. Pretty much put Justice Clarence Thomas through the same ringer. And to this day, the left can't stand Justice Clarence because of the things that Joe Biden did to destroy and to sully his reputation. This man is a despicable human being. And make no mistake about it, what that speech revealed last night was the real Joe Biden. Remember Slim Shady? Will the real Slim Shady please stand? Is that how the song went? Do you remember, Gabe? Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? Please stand up. Well, Joe Biden stood up. That was the real Joe Biden last night in the speech. He is divisive. He is angry. That's who he is. He is mean. He is nasty. He is an elitist. He hates at least half of America. At least half of America. Now, listen to this real quick. I want to give you this rating, this score. This is from theobserver.com. This is all the way, dates back to May of 2019. The title is Joe Biden actually moderate, or is he more progressive than we think? Many have decided to list Joe Biden as a moderate, quote unquote, without a skeptical look at the evidence. So we examined his voting record. I'm not going to go all through everything because it's just too lengthy to read here, but many people commentated and opined on Biden's voting record in this. But let me give you his record compared to the progressives that ran in the 2016 or the 2020 in the 2019-2020 field leading up to the 2020 election. All right, so here's Biden's American Conservative Union voting scores for Democratic candidates. I want you to understand that if this guy was at 50%, right, if he was at 50%, that would put him in the middle of the road. That would put him, I guess, as a moderate. You know what Biden's score was? 12.67. Not even 13%. And now he led the charge. He was the most moderate or conservative, if you will, of the people running in that race. The closest second to him is Tim Ryan. Ohio, are you listening? Ohio, are you listening? You've got the wannabe, or you've got the mini-me of Joe Biden running in Ohio, a guy by the name of Tim Ryan, pretending to be a moderate. You know what his score is? 11.43. The guy is no moderate. These people are no moderate. This is based on voting records, not their opinion, not things that they say in front of a camera, not things that the media says, fawning media says about them in front of a camera or on radio or on social media. Their actual voting records prove that these people are leftists. They're not even anywhere near the center. Joe Biden's, again, his conservative union voting score is 12.67%, meaning that he only votes with Republicans and are conservatives 12.67% of the time. That is unheard of. Now, these are the most extreme people in the in the Democrat Party. Sanders, you know what his rating is? 6.78. A guy by the name of Gravel, actually, who is the most I forget who Gravel is. It mentions in this column. I just don't want to go back. He's at 16%. Mike Gravel, he's the former Alaska senator. Mike Gravel actually has the highest AC rating of any Democrat that was in the race at 16%. In the race, leading up to the 2020 election, in the primary cycle for the presidential nomination on the Democratic side. So Mike Gravel was at 16. You had Elizabeth Warren, who's at 4.16. She's a lefty. You had Cory Booker, 5.1. Michael Bennet, 5.45. These are the most extreme of the Democrat Party, and they were all running for president. You didn't have moderates in that race. You had Klobuchar, Amy Klobuchar, who I thought, I didn't realize this, I thought she was just as moderate, quote unquote, as Joe Biden. She's not even close. She's 3 times worse. She only ranks at 4.7%. Kirsten Gillibrand, she ranks at 4.41% of New York. You had Kamala Harris, 4.55%, straight up Marxist. Inslee, I believe he's the guy in Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. He ranked at 8%. Delaney, a Baltimore, former representative of Baltimore, 7.41%. And when I listened to him, he was actually seeming to talk common sense, because if I'm not mistaken, he was the businessman in the race. Eric Swalwell, 3.98%. 3.98% out of a 100 score of conservatism. Tim Ryan, again, 11.43%. Beto O'Rourke, he is at 8.08%, and we know he's a nut job. Moulton, 3.85%. Tulsi Gabbard. Now, listen, guys, let me say this. I love Tulsi Gabbard in this sense. I believe she's honest, and I believe she's a woman of true conviction. I've heard a lot of people say, I think she could be the VP to Donald Trump in 2024. Please stop that. Please stop that. Now, Tulsi Gabbard has been great when it comes to these endless wars. I don't agree with her on everything, even regarding that issue. But nonetheless, she's been a vocal critic, and I believe rightfully so. There's no doubt in my mind that Tulsi Gabbard believes what she believes. She is a woman of conviction. And there's no doubt a lot of you like watching her because she's really nice to watch on TV. All right, let's be honest. She's light on the eyes, as they would say. But she's not a moderate, even close. She should not be on a ticket with Donald Trump. Let's stop going cray-cray, people. Let's stop going cray-cray. I just wanted to make that clear. So if you ever thought that Joe Biden was a moderate, his voting record proving that he only votes with Republicans 12.67% of the time, he's not even in the mainstream middle, you're absolutely wrong. And his last couple of years in the Senate, you know what his score was? You know what his score was? It was even worse than Barack Obama's. who was considered, and many people were calling a socialist. He had a score, Joe Biden did, of 0, meaning he was voting straight to the left, not in the middle, not somewhere in between, even to the left. He was taking the most radical positions in his last 2 years in the Senate. This man has never, ever been Lunchbox Joe. And that speech last night, all it did was reveal the real Joe Biden. The real Joe Biden stood up. Now, I'm going to ask you guys to stand down. The goal is to get us pissed off enough on the right that we will do crazy stuff like the left does in the street. It's not going to work. I know you guys are law-abiding citizens, unlike the left, unlike the riots that we saw all across the country in 2020. We don't do that. They have to make up stuff with the January 6th protesters, many of whom were just trespassing, and try to make it sound like, oh man, this was the worst terrorist threat ever. Just nonsense, all right? Complete and utter nonsense. But I just want to prove to you right off the bat that we shouldn't be shocked about what we saw last night. Now, it did look satanic. It did look crazy. It was a clarion call to the little brown shirts on the left, Antifa and BLM, to cause up some ruckus and some violence in the streets. No doubt about that. I mean, he got Satan's lair down packed. That background looked like he came straight from hell. There's no doubt about it. But I want you to understand, this is Joe Biden. This is the real Joe Biden. Make no mistake about it. Now, let me address this real quickly. All right, we're just getting into the nitty gritty. Don't forget to subscribe to my podcast, SalemPodcastNetwork.com, thecarljacksonshow.com, anywhere where you find podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. Please, YouTube and Rumble, we would really love to build up our subscription there. If you would be kind enough to follow us, like and review, share our videos there, we would certainly appreciate that. Also, follow me everywhere that I am on social media, The Carl Jackson Show on social media, and that is Twitter, that is Facebook, that is Instagram, that is Truth Social, that is Getter. I'm even on Parler, but I got to admit, I haven't used Parler in quite some time. Perhaps I will start again. I'm so disappointed in what they did to Parler. But I was starting to gain a lot of traction on Parler when they had basically frozen my account. Not literally, but nothing was happening on my account in Twitter. I hadn't moved. I don't think I gained a like in like years. It was several years. I mean, they wiped out several thousand of my followers, and I kept tweeting, but nothing moved. The numbers never moved. I got onto Parler, and right away I started getting traction. I mean, reparlays or whatever they were called. I don't even remember now. It's been quite some time. And then all of a sudden it stopped. Man, the left, those people they play dirty. They play dirty. Okay. Now, just to remind you about the racist that Joe Biden is. We've already reminded you about what he did to Robert Bork, what he did to Justice Clarence Thomas, and how he destroyed their reputations just for the sake of being Biden, right? That's who the guy is. That's who the guy is. He's a nasty politician. He's a nasty, mean, corrupt man. I believe he's a pervert too. I mean, we can all see the videos. You know, I'll be honest with you, when people were talking about sniffing of the hair of little girls, and I didn't pay much attention to it. I was just like, yeah, okay. I mean, we're going to do whatever we can to make the guy look bad, right? So that he loses. You know, I get it. And then I started watching the videos, and I'm like, oh my God, why didn't a dad punch him in the face? And I'm not advocating for violence, but I'm saying that was insane. The guy looked like a genuine pervert. And then there's Tara Reade. Don't forget Tara Reade. Tara Reade of the Me Too movement that was silenced by the left. So you know that the left really doesn't care about the Me Too movement or women that are victims of rape and assault, because they totally ignored Tara Reade. They wanted Biden in office. So Tara Reade, an assistant on the Hill for the Democrat side, claimed that Joe Biden raped her. And she went into, I'm telling you, Google it, DuckDuckGo it, whatever it's called. She went into painstaking detail. I'm telling you, as a former victim of a crime, of actually 2 crimes, it is hard to get that type of detail and be a liar. She went through painstaking detail, where she was, how it happened, when it happened, exactly what Joe Biden did, and how he treated her afterwards. It was very descriptive. Go search Tara Reade, Tarareade. And you saw him macking to the little 9-year-old just the other day. The guy's a pervert. Ashley Biden's diary, we know that it's legitimately hers because people have been arrested over it. They broke into James O'Keefe's apartment over it. The FBI did. So we know that it's real. Ashley Biden claimed in that diary that she was showering with her dad at inappropriate ages, or at an inappropriate age, to the point where, and I'm paraphrasing, where she started to get aroused. All right? That's pretty freaking disgusting. That means she was at an age where sex was on her mind. And she was showering with her dad. Disgusting. Now, the guy's a racist. You remember Charlemagne the God. Well, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. I want you to understand. I want you to notice the pattern. I tweeted this out. Retweet it. Feel free to retweet. Notice the pattern. This is what Joe Biden does. This is who Joe Biden is. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So black people, if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you're not black. Now, this is an old white guy that gets to tell people what ethnicity they are, if they don't like him, if they don't support him. Likewise, if you happen to be against or vote against Joe Biden's policies, not for Trump per se or MAGA per se, even though Trump's policies made America great again, that's essentially what they did. But if you vote for anything other or anyone other than Joe Biden on the right, if you vote for Republicans, then you're a semi-fascist. This is projection. This is projection. These are the fascists. These are the totalitarians. This is the guy that colluded and the party that colludes with big tech. This is the party that colludes with big pharma. This is the party that colludes with with healthcare organizations. These are the authoritarians telling you what type of car you can drive. These are the fascists. These are the totalitarians in public-private relationships with other wannabe fascists in these major corporations. With this diversity, equity, inclusion, social, emotional learning, all of this kind of nonsense, dividing a CRT. These are the fascists. These are the authoritarians. And Biden is projecting what they are onto us. Why? Because he's a liar. But that's who he is. This guy is a despicable man, as Robert Bork's widow said, a man without a compass. This guy will do anything for attention. This guy will do anything to save his own power. He is a despicable human being. Now, he's a racist. Let's go to this. You don't vote for me, you ain't black. Gabe, I want you to know that if you don't vote for Biden, you are not Puerto Rican, because Puerto Ricans also vote overwhelmingly Democrat. So I just wanted to make that clear to you, Gabe, in case you were unaware. Gabe doesn't want to thank me for that helpful tip, but I'll go on. Now, here's what he said. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Just wanted to help you out. All right. So now let me go on with these. All right. 12 examples of the racists that currently occupies the White House. Hat tip Breitbart goes back to a column by Nolte. You ain't black, and Joe Biden's 10 other acts of racism. So apparently 11. All right. So actually 12, because I just mentioned, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Now, here's other things that Joe Biden said. White kids are smarter than other kids. He said that in August 2019. We should challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. The implication is poor kids are black kids. And white kids are smarter than black kids. That's Joe Biden. In June of 2019, the guy doesn't stop. He brags about his ability to work with racists. That's right. He says, I was in a caucus with James O. Eastland and Herman Talmadge, Biden said with an attempted Southern drawl. He never called me boy. He always called me son, or however he would say it. Well, guess what? Quote unquote. The former vice president continued, and I quote, at least there was some civility. We got things done. We didn't agree on much of anything. We got things done. And I guarantee you he agreed with those racists. We got it finished. But today you look at the other side and you're the enemy, not the opposition, the enemy. We don't talk to each other anymore. Now, I want you to know that Eastland and Tamaj, they were segregationists who opposed the civil rights movement, the Civil Rights Act of 1957, Civil Rights Act of 1964, and they saw black people as an inferior race, quote unquote. These were his homies. These were his mentors, Joe Biden. Number 3, he brags about segregationist Democrat not calling him boy like he did others. And this was in 2019. He says, I was in a caucus with James O. Eastland, again, a segregationist. The former vice president said while putting on a Southern drawl, he never called me boy. He always called me son, quote unquote. So who did he call boy? Who was he calling boy? Who was this segregationist that believed that blacks were part of an inferior race? Who was he calling boy? I don't think we have to wonder much about that. He appears to use racist term roaches to describe black kids in 2017. I think this one is a little perverted too. You can go either way with this one. You can go racism or you can go pervert. So you be the judge. All right. So he says, by the way, I sat on the stand and it gets hot. I got a lot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun, he said. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down. They would rub my leg down. So it was straight and then watch the hair come back up again. Whoa. They'd look at it. I learned about roaches. This guy is a despicable human being. So when black kids were rubbing his legs, he was learning about roaches. He learned about kids jumping on my lap. So see, you could go racist or pervert. Someone being excited about kids jumping on his lap. When he spoke, Biden was surrounded by black children. He was also referring to his time as a lifeguard, where he says the swimmers were mostly black kids. That was in 2017. 2006, he mocks Indian Americans. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent, he says. I'm not joking. You know how he always says, I'm not joking. Not joking. For real. Come on, man. All of that stuff that moron says. That evil, despicable man in the White House. The guy that's trying to divide us. He can't. You see, he wants to ignore his policies that are destroying America. He wants to ignore inflation. He wants to ignore the border crisis, the open border crisis. He wants to ignore the fentanyl crisis, where China is shipping fentanyl across the open southern border and killing Americans. Depopularizing the United States of America. Must be one of those greenies, Joe Biden, that believes in that stuff. Straight lie to you about the Inflation Reduction Act while he's spending money. Willing to forgive student loan debt. That's authoritarian. He's talking about fascist. That's authoritarian. You don't have or working outside the bounds of the Constitution. He doesn't have the power of the purse. How does he get to do that? Guy's a liar. He projects what he does onto us, on the rest of us. But Dunkin' Donuts, unless you have a slight Indian accent, you can't go to a 7-Eleven or Dunkin' Donuts unless you speak like an Indian, right? Or whatever. Did that sound racist? Did that seem racist? All right. Anyway, just repeating Joe Biden. All right. Now, he describes Barack Obama as a bright and clean black person. Obama, bright and clean. That's a storybook, man. Remember that? Obama is bright. He's black. And he's bright and he's clean. Oh my God, that never happens. A black guy that could speak intelligently and apparently showers. That never happens. Oh my God. Perhaps he never heard of Thomas Sowell. Perhaps he never heard of Walter E. Williams. Perhaps he never heard of Larry Elder. Perhaps he never heard of Justice Clarence Thomas, and so on, so on, so on. Jason Riley, Peter Kirsnow. Thank you, Gabe. Me. Perhaps he's never heard of other blacks that like to shower and are articulate. And not being facetious somewhat. Obviously, clean isn't literally meaning showering, but anyway, I'm loving to have fun with this, but I want you to recognize that who this guy is. So don't buy the bait. All right. Just don't buy the bait. Don't go out there and get crazy. And I don't suspect conservatives will. I have high confidence that conservatives, after we've seen what they've done to Trump, after we've seen what they've done to the J6 protesters, we're not stupid. But the left is. And they have some little brown shirts that are willing to voluntarily come out and destroy American cities like we saw in 2020. And that's what this evil person in the White House by the name of Joseph R. Biden is banking on. That's what he's hoping on. He's hoping that he can distract from his horrible policies that are destroying American lives. High rent prices, high mortgages, high gas prices, high food prices, shortages in the supply chain, food shortages. He hopes that he can distract from all of that, the divisiveness, all of that stuff by giving speeches like this and dividing Americans. This is a despicable and evil human being. I don't say that lightly. That's the truth. This man is evil. He is evil. All right. He, again, describes Barack Obama as bright and clean. Number 7, he uses the anti-Semitic term Shylock when he was describing Jews. Shylock. Coming from this uniter, this guy. Ignoring calls from Israel right now. What a bum. All right, praise Democrat segregationist as a man of character. This was in 88. In 1988, on the floor of the U.S. Senate in 88, Biden praised segregationist Senator John Stennis as a man of character, quote unquote, even after the Democrats sought to oppose Brown versus Board of Education with something called the Southern Manifesto. In fact, Biden has even bragged about Stennis gifting him with the table the Southern Manifesto was signed on. And you have people on the left, people within the Democrat Party that still believes there was a big switch. When one senator switched to Republican, I believe in the 60s, there was never a big switch. Republicans didn't start winning the South. Actually, they started winning parts of the South much earlier under Hoover, if I recall correctly. They started winning parts of the South, but we never regained control of the South as far as the legislature was concerned until the Gingrich Revolution in '94. The big switch is a big lie. That's the big lie. That's the big lie, right? Unbelievable. In 1975, he said segregation is good for black people. Now black people believe it. Can you believe it? Can you believe the full circle? A full circle. Now black people that wanted to be unsegregated, black people that wanted equal opportunity under the law now don't. Isn't that crazy? The left period. It isn't just Biden. People vote for this evil, despicable, lying piece of crap. Segregation is good for black people. 1975, I think the concept of busing, that we are going to integrate people so that they all have the same access and they learn to grow up with one another and all the rest, is a rejection of the whole movement of black pride. So here he's trying to manipulate it. No, come on. Desegregate the United States of America or the South. Desegregate schools. Come on. We'll hurt black pride if we do that. Wink, wink. You know what I mean? I don't want my kids around those little brown people. But he was trying to manipulate it. He says it's a rejection of the entire black awareness concept. Desegregating stuff. Come on, man. Where black is beautiful. Black culture should be studied and cultural awareness of the importance of their own identity. So, for that reason, we shouldn't desegregate anything. Unbelievable. This is a racist, man. This guy's a racist. You ain't black. You don't vote for me. You ain't black. Because he knows he owns black people. He knows the Democrat Party owns black people. And what Biden did, people might think that's a something he was doing, like a campaign tactic. No, he was just revealing his true self. That's all that happened last night. I know there's speech writers for that speech. If Biden didn't want to read that speech, he wouldn't have read it. But that's Biden. That's Biden. That's who he is. That's who he is. The Democrat Party needs more people like racist Democrat Governor George Wallace. Biden believed this. 1975, I think the Democratic Party could stand a liberal George Wallace, someone who's not afraid to stand up and offend people, Someone who wouldn't pander, but would say what the American people know and their gut is right. You telling me this fool ain't a racist? 1977, Biden worried about how busing would lead to a racial jungle. This is what Kamala Harris got on him for in the presidential debate, even though I think she was lying about being impacted by it. I can't recall. But nonetheless, this is what she got on him for. This is when she soared in the debates before Tulsi Gabbard took her out at the knees. I give Tulsi Gabbard credit for that, because she really destroyed Kamala Harris's presidential chances in one debate with a one-liner. It was phenomenal. Props, Tulsi Gabbard. Listen, don't get me wrong. I love you. I just don't want you as the VP under a Trump administration in 2024. Anyway, all right. So now let's go on. So he worried about busing would lead to a racial jungle. 1977, and I quote, "Unless we do something about this, my children are going to grow up in a jungle. The jungle being a racial jungle with tensions having built so high that it is going to explode at some point." Biden said this shortly after making a plea for orderly integration. He says, "We have got to make some move on this," quote unquote, I guess, orderly integration. But he didn't want those kids being bused. He didn't want his kids going to school in a racial jungle. That's what Biden thought about blacks. That's what Biden thinks about blacks, I believe. I think he still believes this stuff about blacks. I think he thinks he can just use the word racist and call people racist, and blacks will buy into it hook, line, and sinker. Sadly, he's proven that to be true. Thank God for movements like Blexit with Candace Owens and Officer Tatum, and I'm so thankful for the people that have come before me. The giants, I think, and Walter E. Williams and Thomas Sowell and Larry Elder, the black intellects, Jason Riley, Peter Kirsnow. I mean, tons of them out there. Anyway, he gives a speech, he does, in 1973, Biden does, about what's good for the Negro. It was in the final minutes of this question and answer session that Biden's controversial lecture about what he believed was, quote, good for the Negro, unquote, took place. The comments, which are included in a book by The Intercept's Ryan Grimm, arose when Biden was asked if he had spoken to his Southern colleagues about their attitude towards the problems of the Negro in America. This is Joe Biden. He's a racist. He's a pervert. He's divisive. He's corrupt. He's a plagiarist. He's a cheater. Did I mention he was a pervert? This is Joe Biden. What that speech revealed last night didn't reveal anything new that he's been saying about MAGA Republicans, right? By the way, can you see this, Trump? Can you see that? Can you see that? Just want to be clear. If the FBI gets rid of me, just know I didn't commit suicide. All right, so I just want to be clear on that. But this guy's just disgusting. And all that speech revealed last night was all it revealed was the real Joe Biden. The real Joe Biden showed up. That's all that was. Understand that. Understand that this man is willing to start violence in the country if it means that he retains power. That's all this means. That's what we witnessed last night. He wants his little Democrats to win, to save the midterms. He wants to win the midterms so that he can continue to transition America into an authoritarian country. That's what he's aiming to do, folks. All right, guys, listen. I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast everywhere podcasts are found. You can go to thecarljacksonshow.com, salempodcastnetwork.com. Follow me on social media as well. Or wait a minute, I didn't give go to youtube.com to see this, The Carl Jackson Show, rumble.com to see this video. Everywhere podcasts are found, Apple, Google, Spotify. Again, YouTube, Rumble. Please subscribe, like, review. Follow me on social media, por favor. All right? I'm trying to work on my Spanish because there are a lot of illegal aliens coming in, Gabe, so I'm starting with por favor. All right? So So also subscribe to like all of my social media accounts, The Carl Jackson Show. Again, don't forget Mike Lindell and MyPillow. God's honest truth, guys. You're supporting a great patriot, and you're supporting this podcast as well. I really appreciate it. Go to mypillow.com. Use that promo code Carl. Right now, you can get the special deal on the Perkel sheets. Once the Queen sheets, $89.98. But you can get them for $39.98 by simply using my promo code. And they're available in different sizes, different colors, whatever you need. Use the promo code Carl. 800-858-0263 is the phone number, or go to mypillow.com. Click on the radio listener square. They have a 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee, so you can't beat that with a bat. Also, you can use that promo code across the board on mypillow.com. So, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this particular broadcast, and now you know what a despicable, evil human being and corrupt and perverted human being Joe Biden is, and all that speech did last night was reveal the true Joe Biden. The real Joe Biden showed up. All right, guys, until next time, don't go worry, doing good. God bless you.